David Bay here for MuscularDevelopment.com. We are in Melbourne for the second annual Arnold Australia, here with promoter Tony Doherty. Now, Tony, everybody knows you as a promoter of the show, especially now that it's an Arnold Classic. But what a lot of people don't know is that you started the show many, many years ago as the Australian Grand Prix, but got into promoting even a long time before that. Yeah. So once again, everybody knows you as a promoter of this event. See you all over at the U.S. events. Give us a little bit of background, though, like how you got started in promoting, you know, some of your early days in promoting these shows and how that led into starting a pro show.
Well, I started promoting IFBB amateur shows in 1988 and always aimed to bring the best guest posers out. And we always had a fantastic response to all the guest posers, this and that. And back in my mind, I always wanted to do a pro show. And then I travelled with a lot of the Australians to pro shows. You know, I was on the road with Sonny Schmidt, the great Sonny Schmidt, since passed away, unfortunately. But I was on the road with him for nearly 10 years, you know, and we used to hang out down with Milos in San Diego and hang out at Gold's Gym with all the guys. And we're there in the early days when Rico and Flex and Chris Cormier were training. I was really inspired by that. But I didn't like the way that the guys got treated when they travelled. And I always noticed that, gee, when I go to these shows, no one picks you up at the airport and they put you in a hotel with a stupid microwave and give you room service with, you know, like pasta and salty food and takeout food. And like, hey, you're a well fine-tuned athlete and you've trained 6 months for this, and you kind of get dumped at a Hilton on a river somewhere or whatever, and the venues are kind of crappy. And I just thought I could do a little better than that. And one day I'll get it together and do a pro show. The first year I did the Australian Pro was 2001, and of course everyone said it'll fail, no one will go there, it won't work. And I thought, well, what could be the point of difference? So my good friend Chris Cormier, he actually helped to talk all the guys into doing that first one. So Dennis James came out and Dexter Jackson and all these great names come and supported the first show. And I thought, you know what, let's just do all the things that no one else does. So we had, you know, guys to pick them up at the airport and bring them to the gym, and I'd set up back then a barbecue out the front of the gym. We cook all clean food, so when they get there to be, you know, pounds and pounds of chicken breast and steak and fish and salmon and turkey breast and whatever else I knew, because I was a bodybuilder, knew whatever I wanted to eat, and, you know, baked potatoes and steamed rice and asparagus and all these things with no salts or oils or anything else. I was like, wow, no one else does it. I'm like, take some packs back to your rooms. Then instead of putting them in hotel rooms, I put them in apartments with full kitchens. So then in their kitchen we set them up, you know, with a whole lot of dry carbs and wet carbs and bags of rice and bags of potatoes and all that sort of thing, with pots and pans and knives and forks, and not just a shitty microwave.
The whole works, the whole
kitchen.
works. Yeah.
Right, and everyone said, wow, no one else does this stuff. So that was our point of difference, and we just really, really looked after the athletes. It was always our aim was to make the athletes feel like stars and to give them an experience they don't get anywhere else in the world. And they kept coming. And everyone said it'll never work, but it did work. And, you know, 16 years later, it's the third longest running pro show in the world, just behind the Olympia and the Arnold. And I'm really proud of the Australian fans for sticking it out with us. And some of these guys here coming in now are the VIP fans that have been with us right from back then.
From day one.
Yeah.
Now, the timing of this show works out really good for getting the big names in. You know, we're 2 weeks after the Arnold Classic. All these guys are in shape. You know, obviously, like you said, you treat these guys like rock stars, really rolling out the red carpet. Was this show always just a week or two after the Arnold Classic?
And it was completely tactically planned. I thought, I'm just going to trade off the Arnold, because back then the European Grand Prix was huge. So many shows in Europe after the Olympia, I thought, well, I can't do one then, I'm just going to get lost. There's really nothing after the Arnold. The Ironman was the early show of the year, and that'd be always 2-3 weeks before the Arnold. And then the Arnold Classic, then nothing. I'm going to put one right after it. So I always did it 1 week later, or now 2 weeks later, whatever I could get the venues and this sort of thing. And it worked, because the guys are in shape. And so we'll come out. It's not huge money. I mean, in the early days, you know, we didn't put the prize money up enormously because we didn't have it. But what we did was we flew all the top athletes out. We paid, and we still do. I pay the hotels for every single athlete. So, first of all, you don't have to pay for the up-and-comers or the people no one have heard of. I go, well, they need it the most.
They need it more than anybody.
We've always had a policy of that, and when we added, you know, the fitness and the figure and all that sort of thing with the expos when we started that, we always took care of the athletes. And I think if you take care of your fans and you take care of your sponsors, you take care of your athletes, they keep coming back.
Seems like simple business, doesn't it?
Right. So we've got a great reputation now with the athletes, you know, and all those guys back then say, you've got to go and do the Australian Pro. You know, I remember, you know, Chris and Dexter and Tony Freeman and all these guys over the years, and Kai, and everyone that's won the show's always been a big fan. And if you're going to do one show, go out and see how to be treated as a pro and as an athlete, and do the Australian Pro. So fortunately, I guess we've got a good reputation with the pros, and I've got a great rapport with most of them through doing all the interviews over the years.
And the media, that's...
Well, the media, The media have been great. I mean, you guys have always sent teams out, Flex, MD, all the top magazines have always sent teams out to cover the Australian Pro. And, as the internet's advanced, the pre-publicity and all the hype leading up to it's unbelievable. And I'm just grateful to have you guys back again this year.
Well, we're happy to be here. Any excuse I have to come down to Australia is one I'll take. Now, you guys can't see this, but they're setting up the expo in the background here. The expo, as well with the show, has grown by leaps and bounds. Tell us a little bit about what you can expect from the expo this year in Australia.
Well, I guess when I started the expo 5 years ago, it was called FitX, and it was just 4 of these bays. So we're up to 10. And so it's nearly 3 times the size. We've got 30 different sports over the weekend. So with the Arnold Classic, you start adding all the different sports. So we've got the powerlifting and weightlifting and strongman, and of course the arm wrestling and all those power sports. And we've got all of the martial arts sports, your kind of stuff. We've got 9 different disciplines from kung fu to taekwondo and all these different things. And then we've got futsal, like a great kids soccer day going on. We've got tactical sports like chess and Rubik's Cube and all these things to get people involved. And as Arnold says, to promote the fitness crusade and get people off the couch. So it's taken on a whole new dynamic. We work full-time on it for a year. I've got a team of 5 work full-time on this for this day. So this is kind of overwhelming to me today because I come in this morning, it's this big empty shell, and I'm having all these self-doubts and thinking, how the hell, what have I done? And you come back tonight and it's almost set up and you're thinking, wow, look what we created.
It's all come together.
And you see the fans are so happy to be here, and it's the highlight of their year, and I see these guys book their tickets a year in advance. So Monday morning I'll be getting these emails, what date's next year's show? We want to take our annual leave then and build our whole year around it. That means the world to you, But when I started the FitX Expo 5 years ago, or 6 it would be now, everyone once again said it'll fail, you can't do it, you're just one guy, and there's bigger, better companies doing that. But because we had the love of the athletes and the support of the different sports, we built it up, just waiting for that knock on the door from the Arnold team. And when I saw they were expanding worldwide, I thought, I've got to build the best expo in Australia so they don't have a choice. So we kind of did that, and when we got approached by the Arnold team, it's been a real life-changing thing for me, David. It's enabled me to travel the world and go to all the Arnolds and to get close to not only Arnold but his whole team, and have a whole lot of fun doing it. So I'm all in.
All right, well, guys, we thank you for your time. Obviously, you're as busy a guy as you're going to find here in Melbourne this weekend. So once again, we appreciate that, guys. You heard it from Tony Doherty. Treat the athletes right, treat the fans right, and show some love for the sport. And this is what you get.
I always thank the media. We really appreciate MD and all of your support. Steve, the whole team, you've always been there for us. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up for this weekend. I'm going to say congratulations. It's only Thursday. Things are just getting started, but we know it's going to be a great weekend anyhow. So I say congratulations before it even gets started. But that's going to do it for us, guys. One more time, David Bay with promoter Tony Doherty for MuscularDevelopment.com from the 2016 Arnold Classic Australia.